4 islands, 4 races, 4 different civilizations, in an experiment to determine which race will reign supreme and which civilization will rule over the world. This was the plan for the original story. However, this is a different kind of story. This is a story of great adventure, secret missions, friendships, and ultimate betrayal. This is the Great Races Experiment Untold story. This is the story of the Crypt. But before we get to the heart of the story, we have to go back to the beginning. More specifically, about 2 weeks before the Great Races Experiment was launched. To give a bit of a backstory, while applying for a position in the Great Races Experiment, I chose to be part of the Undying race, since, at the time, it seemed to be the most disadvantaged one out of the 4. Just like any hostile undead creature in Minecraft, the Undying would burn in sunlight unless invisible. And with the undead island being a nether waste with scarce resources, getting a carrot for invisibility potions was out of the question until much later in the experiment. The Undying were unable to wear any piece of armor unless it was cursed, with either a curse of binding or curse of vanishing enchantment, leaving them exposed and vulnerable not only to the sun, but to any attackers. All these factors made the Undying race a very unpopular pick, therefore increasing my chances of joining the experiment, which thankfully I did. Fast forward to a week before the launch of the event, a few Undying members decided to create a Discord server and get everyone from the Undying race to join it. Once every Undying member was in it, it was decided amongst a few members that there will be no singular leader of the Undying race, and that the Undying will be led by a council instead. In a very quick and unorganized manner, an election was brought up to choose the members of the council. Candidates weren't taken seriously, votes were counted wrong, and only a third of the whole Undying race got a chance to vote before voting was closed. At the time, it almost seemed like the very few Undying members who were in charge of the server simply chose their favorites for council positions. Being very unhappy with how the election was staged, I began messaging other Undying members in private who also expressed their discontent with the election. And upon doing so, I came across a few other members who were doing the exact same thing as myself. We then decided to form a group that will not follow the council's orders. An organization that will work in silence behind the scenes, shaping the world in a way that we want to see, by ways of mass manipulation and string pulling. This was the birth of the Crypt. With the problem at hand still at large, we decided to contact almost every member of the Undying race in private, sway them against the council and lobby for a re-election, with promises of uniting the entire race and regaining the trust in a new council that was lost in the first election. Rumblings of our doings made their way to the council members, who were pressured by us into having a new election. This time, in a much more organized manner, where candidates got to submit their bids. Each were given appropriate time for speeches, which were recorded and available for viewing for the members that weren't able to attend the meeting, and voting was open for 16 hours so that the majority of the Undying race would be able to submit their votes. Thanks to the re-election, the council went from 6 members down to 5, with 3 members keeping their council position and the 2 new members winning a seat on council. The 3 council members that lost their seats were Luxera, Spooks, and Xmorphical, with Xmorphical being someone who I want to give a huge shout out to for helping me with the making of this particular video, providing me with multiple replay files captured from his side of the playthrough. Highly recommend subscribing to his channel, as he will also be making a video of his own version of the story from his own perspective, so be on the lookout for that. With the launch of the event approaching, the Crypt was able to recruit more members, most notably the aforementioned Luxera, who still had major pull with the current Undying Council, and Zen, also known as False Hacker, who was a tremendous fighter and diplomat, respected and feared amongst all 4 races. On the day of launch, I was invited to join another secret organization of mercenaries, which both Luxera and Zen were also part of. The group was called the Null Coalition, founded by Killcard, consisting of the following members, including the aforementioned old council member Xmorphical. Killcard himself was directly allied with the Mongolians from the first season of the Great Race Experiment, including 2 very specific members. Personally, I was not aware of the Null and Mongolians alliance, and accepted the bid to join the organization, thinking that being part of 2 separate secret organizations would help me achieve some personal goals that I had set for myself during this Great Races Experiment, with the main one being the elimination, direct or indirect, of the 2 most important members of the Mongolians faction, Poison King and Bean. This conflicting dynamic of 2 secret organizations being allied with each other while at the same time being unaware that they're each other's direct enemy set up a narrative for the remainder of the season, with unavoidable consequences leading to the downfall of both groups. This is where the story begins. Leading up to day 1, the newly elected council tried their best at organizing the entire Undying race, giving everyone the choice of 1 out of the 5 following jobs: mining, building, food gathering, fishing for enchantments, and scouting the island. Thanks to the information that was given to us in the days leading up to day 1, we knew that the Undying Island had a large nether fortress located somewhere in the middle of the island, containing some pretty valuable loot, specifically curse books. And along with it, the nether fortress was also the only place in the entire world where you could get your hands on blaze rods. Knowing that the Undying race would be the only race with access to potions in the early stages of the event, we as the Crypt took it upon ourselves to practice potion PvP prior to day 1, relying on it as our main attack and defense strategy. Therefore, seizing the nether fortress on day 1 was the Crypt's main objective. In order to avoid suspicion, we made sure that we have at least 1 member of the Crypt in every job category, while I took it upon myself to join the scouts and be the first person to find and explore the nether fortress. As much as the council would have wanted the Undying race to stick to their assigned jobs, day 1 was quite the hectic experience for a lot of the Undying members, mainly because everyone tried to get as many materials for themselves as possible, before they were just simply left out without anything, just standing there and burning in the sun. Once the initial chaos and excitement subdued, people made their way underground, into the caves, where they regrouped and reflected, quickly realizing that the main source of acquiring enchantments, which was through fishing, wasn't quite as possible as some would think, due to the string deficit at the Undying Island. However, since the Undying Island was a nether island, which spawned nether mobs, we quickly realized that there is a high possibility of striders spawning at the nearby lava lakes. Realizing that water was our greatest friend, we quickly acquired water buckets and went on to kill as many striders as possible to harvest strings.
I don't know. Just
Kill.
Okay, grab the string.
Yep.
The game is lagging super hard.
Don't let it
I'm
fall.
very
Don't
scared.
let it fall.
Yeah.
Don't let it fall. Oh no!
There,
I got it. We're good.
Sweet, you got 2 strings?
David, you even forgot to let me
Yeah,
have
I got 5 string.
Once that was done, we supplied our fishers with fishing rods, and since it was night at the time, we set out to explore the island while we still could. In the meantime, Ultimate Demon had an encounter with a witch, quickly realizing that poison and harming effects don't affect the Undying in any way, cementing how crucial potion PvP is to our race, making the discovery of the Nether Fortress and the acquisition of blaze rods the top priority of the crypt. While out scouting, I came across another Undying member who was also trying to get strings from Striders, so we decided to team up and kill as many Striders as possible while exploring the large lava lake that we found. While the extermination of Striders wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be. Strider! Oh no! Come up! No! Traveling through the lava lake allowed us to finally discover the Nether Fortress. Holy
This lava
shit!
lake does not look like it's ending anytime soon.
It's not ending. We went through like half the island and it's just lava. Fortress! We're going.
Loot it. It's fine. I have zombie
We're going.
is over here. So
Holy shit!
You're so
I won't kill
close!
them.
Let's go!
So who's there? Who's there?
Oh my god, there it
Who's
is!
there?
It's huge! Holy sh! Being the first ones at the fortress, we quickly looted the lower levels of the fortress and shared our coordinates with the other members of the crypt. By nightfall, NC Archie, Luxera, my new friend, and myself were all able to loot the fortress in its entirety, being the first ones out of the entire Undying race to get our hands on curse books. Not only that, we were now also the only ones in the entire world in possession of blaze rods. Operation Nether Fortress was a great success. This concluded day 1. Day 2 was a much calmer and less eventful day, at least in the beginning. We decided to stay at the Nether Fortress to farm more blaze rods, but quickly realized that we can only do so at night, since that's when the blazes would spawn. To pass the time more efficiently, we figured it would be a good idea to fish until nightfall, getting food and potentially more enchanted books. So we set up a fishing platform at the very top of the Nether Fortress, right below the blaze spawner, and spent the rest of the day there. While fishing, we noticed something peculiar about the spawner.
There's
Let's-
barriers around the spawner.
No, people are calling you hot, Fluffy. You just burned.
Oh yeah, there are barriers. Yeah,
Wait.
I see.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
come on, fish.
Are we sure this is why they're not
Bro,
spawning?
I thought you said berries, and I was like, okay.
No, I don't think that's why they're not spawning. I think it's made so that we can't put torches or break it. We can't break it. Shit! I just realized. There were invisible barrier blocks on every corner of the spawner, meaning it could not be broken. This derailed our plans a little bit, since our whole idea for the event was to be in control of everything potion related, being the only group in possession of blaze rods, and therefore potions on the whole server. Our plan was to farm as many blaze rods as possible, break the spawner, and leave the fortress. But since we couldn't do that anymore, we decided to farm as many blaze rods as we could for ourselves, and then share the coordinates of the Nether Fortress with the Undying Council, building trust with them so that they don't suspect us of anything while we do our scheming behind the scenes. As nightfall approached, so did the blazes.
What are you on?
Blazes!
It's spawning!
Getting a bit too excited, we all started hacking and slashing left and right. In the midst of the chaos, I was the first one to open death's door.
I just need that to heal. Okay. Okay.
Oh, yo, don't hit me. Yo, I got the totem effect because one of you guys hit me with a sword.
Oh, shit.
That's not. It's
I'll
cool.
give you
Wait,
some more.
who?
Okay.
I have, like,
Thank you.
3 bars of
Oh.
health right now. While it was dangerous, it made us realize just how powerful we are as Undying, getting 20 extra hearts as per the Absorption 10 effect, as well as fire resistance, which both lasted for a whole minute. Not only that, the revive effect had a cooldown of 5 minutes, meaning the Undying had unlimited revives per every 5-minute interval. To stay on the safer side of things, we decided to let one person deal with the blazes while the rest would continue fishing to avoid killing each other accidentally. Right before dawn, we decided to meet up with the other members of the crypt, who have been busy stacking up on food and netherite. We agreed that we would meet at the main Undying base, where we would share our resources, as well as check what other resources the rest of the Undying were able to get their hands on, to see if we could steal anything for ourselves. While the Undying base had plenty of useful resources, there weren't any that were hard to come by, or that we didn't already have. Apart from one thing: sugarcanes. Being extremely important for both potion making and books, we decided to stick around the sugarcane farm for a bit, wait for some to grow so that we could steal some without raising any suspicion. Once we had enough sugarcanes for our own farm, we decided to leave the Undying base as soon as possible, just because of how unbearably loud it was.
Did I take someone's fish?
Why is it like Absalom
Did
here?
I take someone's fish? Help me.
Focusing on mining for diamonds for the remainder of Day 2, we were able to somewhat stay out of the conflict that was brewing at the Undying base. Well, at least the most of us. Apparently, the old council member Spooks, who lost his seat on council thanks to the re-election, was planning a revolution against the council, publicly stating that he wants to overthrow the current Undying council, and that everyone who was against the council should join him. For reasons that only became clear after the conclusion of Day 2, Spooks was bitter at the fact that he lost his seat on council, and that the current Undying council, mainly Speed Demon, allegedly made fun of him for losing the election. Therefore, Spooks decided to attack Speed Demon, but was unsuccessful in killing him and had to retreat. While he promised to stay out of the council's way and live in seclusion for the rest of the event, Spooks' betrayal did not go unpunished, as it set up quite an interesting sequence of events for Day 3. Thanks to Spooks' betrayal, both Null and the Crypt decided to join forces and take him out for good. However, Null and the Crypt were not the only organizations that wanted Spooks dead. Apparently, Triagami has employed Zen to be his personal bodyguard, and on behalf of the entire Undying Council, ordered a hit on Spooks as well. Without even knowing it, Spooks became hunted down ever since the start of Day 3, and upon his return to base, he was met by members of both Null and the Crypt. The hit was successful. Spooks was no more. Meanwhile, the other members of the Crypt had a quick trip back to the Nether Fortress to collect a few valuable resources that could only be found there at the time, such as mushrooms, obsidian, sand, and coal blocks. In the meantime, some Undying members were able to find and capture a zombie villager and bring him to the main Undying base. This was a huge deal, since now, through villager trading, the entire Undying race could get their hands on curse books. Unfortunately, curing the zombie villager was not possible at that point in time, because it required a splash potion of weakness and a golden apple. While the splash potion of weakness was possible to obtain, the apple was not, since you couldn't find any oak trees on the Undying Island, and the island borders were still closed. It was time for the crypt to have their own main base of operations, agreeing that it would be in our best interests to stay somewhere close to the main Undying base, but out of sight just enough so that we don't get detected. We decided to set up base just off the shore of the southernmost part of the Undying Island, in an underwater cave. The remainder of day 3 was spent fleshing out our base, until we got a very interesting message from one of our members, who was at the main Undying base.
So do you want to be here for the villager or not? Because they have the villager.
It's okay, leave the villager for now because they need golden apples to cure him.
Well, they have apples.
They have apples.
Do they?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
looking at them right
We
now.
got a sapling, we got a sapling, we got a sapling.
This piqued my interest, so I decided to travel to the main Undying base to see it for myself.
Matez, what's happening here? Give me some intel. Matez, what's happening
Hey,
here?
black bear. We got trees.
How? How?
I don't know.
Colors.
No
Admin PI.
Colors.
Alright, in that case.
Apparently, the moderators of the event were very impressed with how the Undying race was able to capture a zombie villager, and decided to help out by supplying them with oak saplings. This was crucial for the Undying race, since now the zombie villager could be cured, and the entire Undying race can get fully geared up, right on time for when the borders drop on day 4. Day 4 was the day when all borders dropped, and players could now travel freely to other islands and interact with other races. Both Null and the Crypt had already pre-made plans for Day 4. Null, including Luxera, were going to travel to the Human Island to raid the Human Republic, while Zen would take on a solo mission and travel to the Arachnid Island for diplomatic purposes. The remainder of the Crypt had more pressing matters to attend to. Ever since the zombie villager got cured, the entire Undying race were too busy gathering resources to trade with the villager for curse books, focusing mainly on getting most of the Undying race fully geared up in Netherite before the Undying Island gets invaded by other races. This meant that the Nether Fortress was completely void of any players, and the Crypt decided to capitalize on the opportunity. The thing is, in preparation for Day 4, Ultimate Demon was able to figure out a way to destroy the Blaze Spawner, even with the invisible barrier blocks around it. The only thing he needed for it was one block of TNT. Unfortunately, we were short on gunpowder at the time, so we couldn't destroy the spawner just yet, but it did mean that our original plan for this event was back on track. Since the borders would only drop after 1 hour into Day 4, everyone needed a concrete plan as to what each person would be doing. Ultimate Demon and Kinarana traveled to the Nether Fortress, and were focusing on building a blaze farm, trying to maximize the amount of blaze rods that they could get, before we destroy the spawner, while the rest of us were focusing on getting as much netherite as possible, as well as trying to obtain curse books from the Undying Council, who were now in charge of the cured villager. The thing that we did not expect while trading at the main Undying base is to be betrayed by one of our own.
Yeah. Yo!
What the hell?
Yo! What are you doing?
Yo, why is this guy killing us?
A player named Lozenge, already fully geared up in netherite, decided to blatantly attack us out of nowhere. Since we were surrounded by other Undying members, I called out for help. Null were the first ones at the scene, and surrounded Lozenge. In an attempt to defuse the situation, Kilcar tried to have a peaceful conversation with Lozenge, giving him a chance to explain his actions. After a lot of retaliating, Lozenge finally explained that he thought we were the ones who stole the netherite from his furnaces. This seemed like a pretty flimsy excuse to me, since neither myself nor Fluffy were near Lozenge or his furnaces, as he simply approached us and started attacking. While Noel decided to let him go, the Crypt weren't so quick to forgive and forget, as we decided to stick around the main Undying base for a bit longer and keep our eye on Lozenge. And it was good that we did.
Oh!
Gotta be prepared.
Guys, zombie villagers, dead. Somebody killed zombie villager.
What?
Zombie villagers, dead. Somebody killed zombie villager.
What?
I'm gonna rage.
Are you kidding me?
NC Archie was able to capture Lozenge in the act, as he attacked and killed the only hope that the Undying had in obtaining curse books. Not only that, it was later determined that Lozenge was apparently hacking too. The Crypt took full responsibility in taking care of this issue, as Zen made quick work of Lozenge, taking him out for good.
The lost
Someone died.
Yeah, the hacker.
Oh, Lozenge was slain by false hacker.
Oh, yeah.
Good job,
Yeah,
Zen! Let's go, Zen! Let's go!
In the meantime, at the Nether Fortress, Ultimate Demon finished building the Blaze Farm and was able to obtain over a stack of blaze rods. The only thing left was to destroy the spawner, before the fortress gets invaded by other races. And just before the end of day 4, I was able to find the remaining gunpowder needed to craft 1 block of TNT. Now, it was a race against time, laying out the groundworks for Operation Bomb Squad on day 5. The Crypt had a few very concrete objectives for day 5. First, collect all valuables from our hidden base and head to the Nether Fortress to supply Ultimate Demon with gunpowder. Second, blow up the spawner. And third, seek refuge at the Arachnid Island, thanks to Zen's diplomatic mission there on the previous day. According to Zen, the Arachnids were probably the most organized and the most thriving civilization in terms of infrastructure, having built up proper defenses. Additionally, the Arachnid Island, in and of itself, was very hard to navigate thanks to its steep terrain, providing even more natural defenses. Not only that, the entire island was covered in lush caves beneath the canyons, providing the Undying with a great place to live, hidden and protected from the sun, with plenty of resources. This was the plan behind Operation Bomb Squad.
Great, now there's way more of them.
Yo, guys, be careful.
Alright, it's no longer fine.
I hear so many.
I probably need better food. I'm like on half of my hearts right now.
Here. Ultimate here.
Oh, let's see, where can I get rid of my inventory torches?
Archie, do you need food?
Yes.
Thank you.
Some food as well. Here,
you.
Archie. I gave him okay. Hikaru was nice enough to give me some food.
Alright, let's do this. I'm just gonna do this as quickly as I can, okay?
Yep.
Take our time, though. It's destroyed, it's destroyed.
It worked?
Destroyed? Yo, let's go. Let's go. Guys,
get out.
let's go.
With the spawner destroyed, the Crypt would head north, across the fortress bridge, towards the Arachnid Island, collecting more ancient debris on the way. Upon reaching the Arachnid Island, we decided to set up camp in a coastal cave on the southern shore of the island, and wait out the remainder of day 5 there. Thanks to the secrecy of the operation, no one knew that the Crypt were now in possession of all the blaze rods on the entire server, or that the blaze spawner was destroyed. And at the end of day 5, the crypt would find themselves trapped on foreign land in potentially hostile territory. Would they become hunted by all 4 races? And more importantly, how would they survive? Find out in the next episode. Please make sure to subscribe and enable notifications to always on to be notified when the next episode comes out. And until then, stay tuned.